Good afternoon from northern Thailand. This is Michael C. Phillips, and it is a warm one today. We've had some rains. It is the monsoon season, but the sun is out, and I'm out in front of the studio working on a little bit of vitamin D. Anyway, I thought I might start on my experience of becoming a Christian. Now, if you remember, I became a believer, a Christian, when I was 32 years old. But my last video, which was number one, now this is going to be number two, I talked about, uh, I talked to the point of my motorcycle accident. But I did mention that I had at one point gone traveling, gone on the road, and it lasted about 2.5 years. So I thought I would just fill in some holes here. And then my next video, I will talk about what I think are miracles, really, when it comes to becoming a missionary. Again, we've lived in northern Thailand for just about 37 years, so it's been quite a while. So, when I was on the road 2.5 years, there are a few things I think were pretty interesting, and I'll share on that. Since I did go all over the country, people ask how I even survived. How did I finance this? Well, primarily, you could go to a city and there was an organization called Manpower, and they had offices, and it was temporary work. So I would go in the morning and stand in line, and I would get different jobs. It could be clean up a garden, it could be trimming a hedge, it could be some kind of construction thing, usually blue collar type stuff. But it was always good because I could get a couple $100 a head, and I'd work for 2 or 3 days, and then I would hit the road again. In the cities, sometimes you go to certain areas, you could panhandle, get a little money to get on, get some food in your tummy. I don't really know much about homelessness at the time. It seemed more like what we might call them hobos, or people who chose to live outside and travel like that. And so I ended up in groups like that occasionally, but most of the time I traveled by myself. And I became great at camping, covert camping. So I could pull my motorcycle in an alley, or I could go out in the woods, or down south in the desert. I spent a lot of time in the desert, and it was very nice. And I could get into my tent. I had a little pup tent. I could put that over the bike, crawl in there, and it was quite the nice little home for those 2+ years. In my last video, I did also talk about uh, moving to Washington State. So I bought a Gold Wing motorcycle after I won that award at University of Kansas. When I got to Washington State, what I wanted to do was to be a fine artist. So I started looking first work, which I eventually found, and then I started working on commissions. And I was getting some commissions. I was showing some at fairs and different gatherings, and I was starting to get some sort of a market. I wanted a studio, so I put an ad in the paper for a studio. I ended up living in a double car garage for a while, an apartment, but eventually I found a house. It was out in the woods, nobody lived in it. I found through the neighbors of this house the owner, who was a dentist, and it was up north of Seattle, 60, 70 miles. And it was in the woods, and the gentleman said, sure, I could rent it, but it did not have running water. Electricity, just a small little cabin sort of thing. So we agreed, and I actually ended up staying in that house for 10 years. No running water. So I had an outhouse, and it was quite nice. This video I'm going to title Alternative Lifestyles. Now, because of those years of travel and going around, and actually since going around the world, I have seen so many different ways to live and what everybody thinks is comfortable, and maybe because of their desire to be around people or not to be around people, they have come up with different ways to live. So these are some of my imagination, and I hope you enjoy.